All right. Without further ado, let's get into my new series where I'm going to be doing basic guides for some of the more interesting champs. I don't think I'm going to be focusing on any of the starter champs or a lot of the rare champs that or the farmable champs. I think there are a lot of other good YouTubers out there that are covering that content. So I think the community's pretty well taken care of when it comes to guides for Aethel and Kale and whoever that orc is that's in the commercials. So I have been noticing that I get a lot of questions in the YouTube videos as to why do I have so many Royal Guards. And so I figured for my first champion guide video, I'm going to cover my favorite character probably, and that's Royal Guard. There are a few other ones that are definitely worthy of mention. Right here on the screen, I'll probably be doing Tyrell, Juliana, Eothar, Allure, Marksman, Steel Skull, maybe some of the lesser known ones like maybe Flesh Terror. Those ones will come up. Please, if you have any requests as to who you would like to see, I do not have them all built up, but I probably could get somebody working to and at least work in working order enough to get a guide going. So just drop your requests and why you would like to see specific champions, and we'll try to accommodate and get content out as soon as possible. But for my first video, I think we're going to cover Royal Guard because I just think he's awesome and he's so versatile, and we can use him pretty much anywhere, and he's gonna kick ass and take names. Written down like a little bit of a guide template. I've seen a few other guides. I've watched guides in other games, so I'm going to try to stick to this, but feel free to drop any sort of comments below as to maybe how I can improve these things, get these videos more streamlined. This one I think will probably run a little bit because he's useful in so many places, so we're going to try to cover as much as we can. But in general, the basic outline is we're going to cover the champion basics, his stats, what you get for ascending him, the skills, debuffs, or any sort of special qualities that he brings to fights. We'll go over his masteries, and then I'm going to go take him through some clips of where to use them, how to use them, and how to build them for those specific areas, because a lot of these guys will have to be built differently if you plan on using them in places like Clan Boss versus Spider versus Minotaur and so forth. So Royal Guard is kind of a unique one because I actually have multiple builds of him, so I can go through and kind of show you what he does in different types of gear. He has 93 speed, so I'm not going to say that Royal Guard is a speed monster. He's got 15% crit and 60% crit damage, so he does get a little bit of extra crit damage over other champions. He doesn't get any accuracy. He doesn't particularly need any accuracy, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. Going into his skills, his first skill is attacks one enemy, has a 65% chance, maybe 70 depending on masteries, of placing the major defense debuff. And this is awesome. It's a high percent chance to do it, and it's on his one skill. So it basically is up all the time. So when I say that this guy brings a defense down, he brings one of the most reliable defense downs in the game, and on a very good tune. And he happens to also be an attack tune. Now his second skill, depending on what you're using him for, this is kind of another signature skill. It's an AoE. It attacks all enemies and deals damage according to the enemy max HP. It also scales a little bit off of attack, but it's not a lot off of his attack, and it's mostly on enemy max HP. So the more the more HP, and that's going to get really annoying if it keeps doing that. The more HP that the enemy has, the more this this skill will do, obviously. So this is kind of a signature skill, and a lot of times you can build Royal Guard purely for using this skill. This skill also does not cap in Clan Boss, so we'll be able to do big damage, big numbers to the Clan Boss, and for that reason he's actually very viable in the Clan Boss because he brings both defense down and this enemy max HP. Not a lot of people have this type of skill. Let me do something here real quick, only because I have to in order to get my headphones to not just turn off. I'm not sure why they're doing that.
Hey, what's up? This is Cho.
No, and I don't want to hear it. I just want to turn on a YouTube video in the background and just mute it. So hopefully my headphones won't turn off. So, all right, let me get back in the pants and getting all into it. All right, so let's bring us to his third skill. His third skill, when it's a fairly long cooldown, 5 turns. So let's look at this skill. Okay, so this thing you cannot reduce the cooldown by using skill books. Here you just need skill books to increase the chance, which is very important. It makes it much more reliable. Here we have hamstring. You can get it down to a 4-turn cooldown, and it hits 4 times. So he's a multi-hitter if you're using this skill as often as you can. And each hit has a 75% chance to place the big decreased speed debuff for 2 turns, possibly 3 with Masteries. And each hit also has a 75% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 25%. So with relatively high accuracy, this skill will reduce the turn meter by 100%. If their turn meter is at 99% and all 4 hits actually proc, their turn meter will go down to 0. It's not quite as good as Tyrell's, which reduces turn meter and stuns the target for 2 turns, but then again, stuns don't land on most content. So this is a great skill. It keeps bosses from going. It keeps spiders from healing. Unfortunately, it can't be used on the clan boss because there's no turn meter manipulation on the clan boss. That being said, it's still a good skill in clan boss when you absolutely just need to proc. If you're running lifesteal and you just need to proc like a giant slayer, or you have, you want to get some extra damage in order to get some extra healing, this is a good skill because it's got nice multipliers and it hits pretty hard, so it will heal you up. You'll probably get like 8 to 10k of healing off of it. So, and on top of all of this, he also brings a 35% attack in dungeons for all allies. This guy is a boss. Now, putting him on lead, it'll take a lot of aggro, so you want to be careful because he's not going to be your beefiest. But this guy, I mean, his kit just kind of does it all. Brings good debuffs, decreased speed, decreased defense. He does extra damage to bosses. He can take away bosses' turn meter, and he buffs the rest of your team up, not only by giving them, like, decreasing the defense so they hit harder, but also giving them 35% more attack. So just skills-wise, his kit is absolutely amazing. Let's take a look at what you get when you ascend him. And I believe it unlocks his leader skill. Let's look at one of mine. It does not say. I believe that's what it is. I believe this leader skill will unlock once you ascend him. I can't really tell you 100% because all of mine are ascended. So let's look at Masteries, and there are essentially two different ways to go with Masteries. So we'll look at this Royal Guard is in Lifesteal. Okay, so that means he's the one I use on Clan Boss. So for Masteries, you're going to want to go crit rate, crit damage. All of these kind of don't really mean that much. You know, do a little bit of extra lifesteal, a little bit of damage to the boss when he's like either over 50% or under 50%. But whatever you got to do, you got to get yourself down to War Master. So War Master is what you're going to be using if you're going to use him on Clan Boss. And as his War Master, he's got an extra chance to proc damage equal to 4% of the max HP of the boss. And we know from our previous calculations in the video that this can do up to 77,000 per hit on Nightmare, which is a good chunk of damage. Going down the support tree, we're going to be hitting up the accuracy along the way, getting a little bit of extra accuracy when his skills are off cooldown, although with Royal Guard that's not very often since we're using them on cooldown. Here we go, extra 16 accuracy, and then here it gets a little bit divergent. So this decreased target's turn meter is probably not the best for Clan Boss, but I do use this Royal Guard in other places with the lifesteal set, so I do like this. Basically, this skill, because he has a single target 1A, his first skill ability, the first time that he uses it on any toon, it will reduce their turn meter by 20%. So not only will he use his skill 4 and reduce their turn meter a bunch, but he'll also reduce turn meter with his first skill the first time he uses it. And 20% is a good chunk, and there's a reason why we have this, and that's because we used the Royal Guards and Spider when we tried to do speed runs on stage 14. A lot of people will use just increases basic set bonuses. This is okay. I'm not really sure this even affects anything on lifesteal, which technically would give you an extra, 3.5 plus 0.75, so an extra 4% lifesteal, 4 or 5% lifesteal. I don't know exactly the numbers, but you're not going to get too much out of this. This one's actually important. 5% chance of decreasing the skill cooldown. It's amazing to get this on your number 2. So a lot of times, like especially in Clan Boss, you want that 2 to hit as many times as possible. So if you avoid using your third skill, the only skill that will be on cooldown is your second skill, which means if this does proc, it will always reduce the cooldown of your second skill, which is really nice. If you can do it, every 2 turns, you'll do a lot more damage because those things hit for usually around 250k. So. And then going down into our T6 Masteries, or T5, sorry, we just increase the chances of placing our defense debuff, so it goes up to 70%, and 80% for the decreased speed. And we will also do this because we're placing debuffs, so we might as well get this little bonus. Sometimes he places a 3-turn decreased defense and a 3-turn decreased speed on other bosses. So his debuffs are pretty good. So we've covered him masteries, we've covered his stats, his skills, what you get when you ascend him. So let's look at So first place, we'll list all the places where Royal Guard is actually really good. Clan Boss, Spider, Minotaur, Dragon, Fire Knight, Spirit Dungeon, and Magic Dungeon, with an honorable mention for Ice Golem because he doesn't have any sort of mechanics that are awesome for Ice Golem, but he does do good damage and he brings good debuffs, but he doesn't prevent res, so he's kind of not specialized for Ice Golems. So first things first, let's check him out in the Clan Boss. Clan Boss, unfortunately, Brutal and Nightmare have been downed, so we will go into Hard and just use this key and scope out what Royal Guard can do. So typically when you run Royal Guard, you run him in a team that you want to utilize the weakness and the defense down so that you can get his 2 to proc as much as possible. So a very typical team that you'll see when you're running something like a Royal Guard, you'll see Aethel lead, Tyrell. Where's Apothecary? Juliana, and Royal Guard. So these are 5 magic champs. Obviously, this works great once the boss goes to spirit. You only have to worry about the speed down. This is a pretty solid team. So let's check out the Royal Guard's damage and what he can do. Okay, so let's right off the bat, let's get our defense down if we can. Hopefully we land weakness. This is good that it's on hard because a lot of our guys have a lot of accuracy. So right here we have defense down, we have weakness up, and here goes the Royal Guard. And you see 288,000. If he would have procced a War Master, that would have been another 70-something thousand. So 350 grand in one hit. That's pretty good. So we're going to pop this over on auto and let this run. Okay, so his hamstring hit for 50k plus whatever procced on War Master. So between him and Tyrell and this team, you're pretty much always going to have defense down on the boss. There it goes, 2-turn defense down. And he should be coming up on takedown. Oh, it didn't proc, but still another 177,000 damage. So he'll end up doing quite a lot of damage with just using takedown. As long as Aethel can keep up weakness, the defense down should be there, and Royal Guard will go to town. He'll do a good amount of damage for you. So we'll let this play out. We'll cut back to the video at the score screen, see how much damage Royal Guard did, and then we'll check out the gear / build that you would need for him to function in Nightmare Clan Boss. Okay, as we're nearing the end of the fight here, you can see we're still on full auto. Lifesteal is keeping us up pretty good. One thing I didn't mention earlier, the reason you go lifesteal is War Master or Giant Slayer when it procs, it does 77, 69,000, whatever. You get lifesteal off of that. And what you just saw there is on top of that for Royal Guard, when he does his skill 2, he hits for like 260k. He gets lifesteal off of that. So 35% of that is something like, I don't know, 60,000. So it's obviously just a complete heal for Royal Guard. So it's the lifesteal set is very nice, unless you're running very, very specific comps that have tons and tons of sustain. But hopefully, I think this fight should be finishing up here soon. I think he's going to one-shot our Aethel here. Yep. What do you think? We got to like maybe one more turn, and we'll check out what kind of damage. Now, mind you, this is a Nightmare team that pulls, anywhere from 15 to 20 million on Nightmare. So it's going to do probably some pretty big damage here on hard. But this is this is the potential. Okay, Apothecary ate it. Dark Nova should kill our Royal Guard in this round. The boss is so slow on hard that we're getting multiple attacks in per boss turn, so he's giving us a chance to heal up. Oh, it didn't kill us. Next one, he'll kill us. And he'll kill whoever doesn't full heal. Looks like it might be a Royal Guard. And there he goes. Give these guys a minute to die off. Hopefully we don't get any more master procs, and he'll just kill us in the next AoE. Of course, Tyrell is healing himself. So is Juliana. These guys are just going to town on this boss. I think we've done like 20% of his life already. Okay, 105,000. Seems like overkill. How long can Tyrell last? And that's it. Okay, GG guys. And let's check out the damage numbers. Oh, it's working. There we go. Okay, so 27.5 million. You see, obviously Juliana pulling a lot of weight, but Royal Guard coming in, second, doing a decent amount of damage. The cool thing about this is Royal Guard will do about this on Nightmare as well, because it's basically just how many times can he hit with skill 2. These guys, Aethel, Tyrell, Apothecary, a lot of their numbers have a lot of kind of RNG built into it. It's how many War Masters can we get. Royal Guard, he's really consistent damage. If you get the crit up and the crit damage, he's going to do good damage on the boss. So, all right. So on to builds for Royal Guard, for specifically Clan Boss. So we'll go right into which was the guy that we used. Okay, so we had a little freeze, a little hiccup. We're back. So build specifically for a Clan Boss. Let's check out what we have here. We're obviously running Lifesteal Speed. You want him as fast as possible to get as many turns in, to get as many second 2A abilities as possible. And after that, Clan Boss is probably the hardest content to build Royal Guard for, because you also need lots of survivability. As you can see, this one's got 28,000. He's running crit damage gloves, defense chest, and 4-star speed boots, but because they got 12% crit. So the reason he's hard to build is because at some point the Clan Boss will enrage and he'll one-shot you. And that's essentially when the match is over. So when your DPS gets one-shot, you're no longer doing damage. You need as much livability, survivability as you can get. That's why we bring Tyrell and the attack down. That's why you bring, Steel Skull or Lightsworn with the defense up. Sorry. So ideally, we would like to have, HP gloves and defense chest, so we can make him, as tanky and fast as possible. However, he's not a War Master Pro. He's not a Giant Slayer Pro. he's not going to do the majority of his damage with those abilities. Where he does the majority of his damage is with his number 2, his takedown. So what we want out of the number 2 is a guaranteed crit and as much crit damage as possible. So it's really hard to get a lot of survivability into his stats at the same time while having as close to 100% crit rate and as high crit damage as possible. So you can see here, I'm kind of trying to do as much as I can with him. I've got up to 81% crit, so he's fairly reliable. You saw in the previous fight that we didn't crit every single time, but he crits a good amount of times. A good amount of the time, excuse me. And we're approaching 200% crit damage. It's not the greatest. Ideally, we would like to have him more. But, again, it's really hard to min-max Royal Guard for Clan Boss. It's not easy to build him. And, of course, you also want speed. So you're looking at, like, as many crit rate subs as you can get with a defense chest piece over HP. You don't necessarily want to stack HP, even though it's nice to be able to overheal and get as much of that back with lifesteal. The problem is the Clan Boss's second skill, Dark Nova, or his stun. One of his skills does damage based on your max HP, so it's actually better to stack defense than HP, and that's why you usually see Tyrell as my last standing toon in Clan Boss. Not because he's got super high HP, but because he's got ridiculous defense. So you'd want to take defense on the chest, speed on the boots, and crit damage on the gloves. It's not worth it to take crit. I mean, it's okay, but honestly, don't make this build if you can't get pretty decent crit rate off of just crit rate subs. The last skill, the last stat that you kind of still need is accuracy. Luckily, we're not really building him for his speed down and landing all sorts of debuffs. He's not a poisoner, so you don't need a crap ton of accuracy, but you need at least a modicum amount. 130 to 150, I could say maybe even go down to 120 for Nightmare. You'll land your defense down enough. If you're the only defense breaker, it's probably still okay, just because it's on your 1A and you can do it all the time. If you're running counterattack, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to defense break the boss. Defense break is your number 1 damage increasing debuff. It's going to get you more than weaken, so you definitely want it applying as often as possible. That being said, I would still prioritize speed over accuracy, since speed will not only get your second ability up more often, but it would also just give you more attacks, which means more times to proc your defense down on your first ability. Let's look at him for his banner. I think this is the only place we really take accuracy, and that's because, I mean, what else? I guess you can get some flat HP, some flat defense here, but accuracy is obviously the most beneficial stat for him, and you get a crap ton of it. I think you get 78 just from the 5-star banner. Here, obviously, you want to have a crit damage necklace with accuracy there as well, because this is another place where you can get accuracy on these things, and there's not a lot of other good things that you can get on the pendant. Again, some percentage stats, but you can't get speed. Speed you can get as a sub on the banner, so you definitely want to be on the lookout for an accuracy main stat with HP percent, defense percent, and speed. And, you know, attack percent would be like kind of the god roll, but, you know, those are hard to find. On the ring, you just want to go flat defense with defense percent and HP percent. So you can see I got pretty good stuff on this guy. I've got a 14 crit rate with 9 speed weapon, a 10 crit rate, 9 speed helm. Let's see here, 11 crit rate, 9 speed. Nothing on the gloves. these could really use an upgrade with some crit rate and some speed. That'd be pretty awesome. Defense, we've got a little baby speed and some crit rate, and maybe defense. Yeah, defense percent would be right there. Maybe accuracy would be a better roll there. And of course for the boots, speed with crit rate and attack percent, crit damage, lots of things you could roll on the boots because speed, of course, is your primary. So again, focus for clan boss is survivability with as much crit and crit damage and speed as you can get, and tune down the accuracy slightly. So, all right, where else can you use the Royal Guard? Well, you can use him in Spider. So let's take a quick gander at Spider and see what we are trying to do with Spider. Unfortunately, at this moment, Spider 15 is Force, which means we are somewhat precluded from running all of the Royal Guards in Spider. But as you can see here, Spider 14, we've got it down to sub 1 minute, and I believe stage 19 will be magic, and stage 20 might be force. So if we follow this pattern, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, so stage 20 is going to be Spirit, which is why these Royal Guards are going to be pretty good in Spider. So let's take a gander at Spider. And let's check out what we can do with all of these Royal Guards plus a Tyrell. Should we add the last Royal Guard in just for shits and giggles? Okay. Okay. So the idea behind this build here is Royal Guard's third skill can decrease the Spider speed and decrease his turn meter. And his 2 skill will scale off of the Spider's max HP. As you can see, the Spider has the most amount of HP in the game. It's also an AoE, so it will kill Spiderlings. Now, the idea here is can we kill the Spider before his turn comes up to where he needs to suck his spiders and get his heal? So for this, we'll have Tyrell as a turn meter reducer / defense breaker. The main reason I have Tyrell in this lineup is because this Tyrell happens to be faster than all of my Royal Guards. You don't want the Royal Guards going on auto because they won't defense break the boss, and their 2A, their takedown abilities, won't do shit for damage. So I needed to find a defense breaker that uses his defense break first, so I put in the Tyrell. So let's run this through. So defense break, and now the Royal Guards should start doing their thing. 254. Not that much. $239. Okay, we got him to half. He's about to go, but now Tyrell lowers his turn meter. Now hamstring slows him, lowers the turn meter. Another hamstring, more turn meter reduction. Robar starts doing what Robar does. Okay, so we've got his turn meter reduced, he's slowed. So now comes that one mastery we were talking about, where his first hit against the boss decreases turn meter. So every time he runs up to the boss, each one of my Royal Guards, is decreasing the boss's turn meter by 20%. So we're trying to get to our next set of takedowns. And we might not have to because Robar might... Oh, no, he didn't go crazy. Okay. Looks like we are doing enough damage to kill him before... Yep, there it goes. All right, before the second set of takedowns. So essentially, that's a turn one spider kill before he can suck up the spiders and get that heal, and then it just... I mean, it's hard to get the spider fight down to too quick just because of the summoning spider animations. So anything you can do to get the spider fight on auto down time-wise for farming makes it just awesome. Much easier to do. Let's and this like Robar just, I mean, he's just AoEing all of the spiderlings, so he just racks up damage and gets extra turns and stuff. Oh, we got a defense banner with defense and speed. Not a bad banner. Okay, so how to build him for spiders. So let's go check out how to build it for spiders. So obviously for spider, you do not need survivability. You don't really take hits. So as you can see, these guys don't even have spider gear. I mean, we've just kind of thrown together gear on these ones. But the obvious kind of what you're looking to do, and this might be my best one, is max out crit, get him to 100% crit, get him to as much crit damage as possible, a little bit of accuracy because you do want to land those speed debuffs, and a decent amount of speed. You don't need a huge amount of speed, at least not for Spider 14. For Spider 15, you do need a little bit more, because what you don't want happening is the spiders actually going before you kill them. But if you take one like main AoEer like Robar, then you don't really care because he'll kill the spiders. They won't kill your Royal Guards before they do their damage. So we're talking probably like 140 to 150 speed would be really, really nice. Like for sure you'll get your second takedown before the spider goes. And then as close as you can to 100% crit, unless you're using a crit buffer, and 250, 300% crit damage would be just amazing. I think 2-3 Royal Guards could definitely destroy the spider pretty quickly. And there are other champions that can do very well on the spider, but if you're a new player and you don't have a ton of characters, Royal Guards are a good option. They do a lot in the spider. So next place we can use him is the Fire Knight Keep. So we'll go to Fire Knight's Castle. And stage 15 right now is magic. So he's just, Royal Guard's just fine on magic. Going by this pattern, stage 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So it looks like stage 20 will be Void. Yes, we can still use Royal Guards on Void. No issues there. So let's take a gander at our team here. You can see, yep, there's a Royal Guard. And we'll see how he does in Fire Knight. So what he brings to the table in Fire Knight is obviously the defense down and the multi-hit on his fourth ability to bust the Fire Knight's shield, and the slow. Once you land that slow, once it takes a little bit of time, it takes a little bit of luck on auto, but once you bust his shield and that last hit or last two hits of the hamstring actually land and you get the debuff on the Fire Knight, he's done for. Once he's slowed, it becomes very easy to bust his 10-hit shield. And then like for trash, he's never bad. He brings, some AoE damage with his takedown. He brings some defense break, so he's not awful for trash. Seems like we're gonna lose Skull Crusher as Allure is just permanently frozen. Okay. We're out of the red zone. Okay, so we have full counters right here, and now we start counterattacking. His shield is broken. We're not going to get a hamstring since we just used it, but we might get a takedown. We got a defense break, healing reduction on him. That's good. Okay, got a takedown. There's half of his life. Okay, let's get a hamstring on him now. There we go. He's speed down, no turn meter, shield broken, and now we probably just kill him. So it's not like Royal Guard's doing all of the work. Obviously, Skull Crusher is helping out, and Allure is just amazing on Fire Knight. But his ability to pop that shield and get that speed down is why you bring him here. And so there we go. Pretty decent. You're not clenching your butt the whole time you're doing that Fire Knight. He gets through it pretty easily. So let's see how to build him for Fire Knight. We just use your clan boss one. All you really care about is getting the hits and landing the debuffs. So there's nothing wrong with a little bit of extra survivability and speed. Survivability, speed, a decent amount of accuracy. That's all you're really going to need for that fight. You don't want to die, and the lifesteal will help you sustain through that. It's hard to lifesteal against the Fire Knight. Ideally, you don't necessarily want to run lifesteal just because when you're hitting him when his shield is up, you're not doing shit for damage, and so that means you're lifestealing like 42. But most people are not going to have 4 different Royal Guards with different gear to choose from, so I would say that you are just fine running your lifesteal speed set in the Fire Knight. Next place that Royal Guard shines is, of course, the Minotaur. We all know how much fun Minotaur grinding can be. So let's see what we can do. Let's push it a little. Go to stage 15. And let's see what we can do with just bare bones. Where do we have a Doom Priest like even in this? Do we see our Doom Priest? I don't see the Doom Priest. It doesn't matter. Let's put, So here we have Royal Guard and Marksman. Let's put in like a little bit of AoE clear. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Let's just put in more Royal Royal Guards, because why not? Let's see what happens. Yeah, you put him on, you have him on lifesteal, and he can just carry it. Like the Lua has no gear. She's like what you would say your dude that you're farming for. So you have a team of 4 people that can do it, and you're one guy with no masteries, and you're basically like carrying him through the dungeon. So there she goes. How many Royal Guards are going to die before we... That Royal Guard's going to die. This might not work. Let's see. No, this is definitely not going to work. So we're down to a marksman with lifesteal and a Royal Guard with lifesteal. Whew, we are cutting it close. Okay. So when I was saying that I wasn't clenching during the Fire Knight, I was definitely clenching in this fight. Marksman kind of pulled me through that one with his turn meter boost. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, 2 scrubby Royal Guards and 1 lifesteal Royal Guard with like another pretty decent character with lifesteal, and you're able to get through Minotaur. So he works well in Minotaur for Minotaur farming. Mainly because it's nice to put the speed down on the Minotaur and the defense down. You can basically keep the Minotaur from going, and if you can go quick enough, then you'll run that debuff off of you even without a cleanser. That was the one reason I was looking for my Doom Priest, because she makes it super easy. All she does is cleanse that crap off of you, and then the Royal Guard lifesteal just kills them. So for builds for Minotaur, again, the lifesteal speed works great. So this is another instance where you can keep your clan boss build and just throw him into Minotaur, and he's going to help carry all of your new tunes that you need to do mastery farming for. You need a guy who can farm it, and you don't want to be constantly swapping out runes. Next place that he's obviously good in is dragons. So dragons is a very straightforward dungeon. There's absolutely nothing interesting about dragon. We'll get into the mechanic a little, but yeah, essentially you just want a lot of damage, and because Royal Guard brings that defense down, that's very reliable. It really helps make sure that you can get enough damage output on the dragon. So this is just some garbage. Again, he does okay. These garbage trash tunes don't have a lot of HP, so takedown doesn't really do a lot of damage. Let's hope we don't get stuck on the Crimson Helm, because it's awful, but we probably will. Hopefully Juliana will have her Purgation up, or Purgatory, or whatever that skill is, so that we can remove Crimson Helm's invulnerability and not get stuck for 3 minutes. I think it's shoulder out again. And these are just my teams that I run. You don't necessarily need Shazar. You could probably run another better AoE magic user for this, like Big Un or even Ignatius or something. Okay, see, okay, good, we got it off. Okay, so the dragon's main mechanic is he does like a deep breath, and you need to get rid of all of his purple health bar in order to, before he goes again. Otherwise, he's gonna like do a team-wide stun and do a boatload of damage. So making sure that he's defense broken is really important. And if it just so happens that his purple bar is up when you can do takedown, that's just a good, nice way to get rid of his takedown. To get rid of his purple bar. See, there we go. Shazar took advantage of the defense down, and we got his bar reduced. There's the takedown. It didn't come at the best of times, but it's okay. Royal Guard's third skill, Hamstring, does absolutely nothing against the dragon. You cannot reduce the dragon's turn meter. You can't slow it down. There's no turn meter manipulation in the dragon. But it looks like he's not even going to get another breath. There we go. So that's a pretty smooth dragon run. No clenching there. Royal Guard, not super instrumental, but I'd say because he's such a consistent defense down applier that he's got a place on that team. There's an attack chest, accuracy with speed resist. Okay. Some other places that he's good at. Spirit Dungeon, Magic Dungeon. I don't necessarily want to run through those because there are a lot of tunes that can kind of go through those dungeons. So I think we will call it here. We've taken a look at his basic skills, what he brings to the table, his masteries, kind of how to build him, specifically for the different situations. It's nice to have more than one, of course, so that you can throw them in with different sets of gear depending on where you want them to go. But in general, he's extremely versatile. He is equal to, if not more versatile than Tyrell, in my opinion, who is another one of the epic champions that is just kind of just all around great everywhere. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the guide, enjoyed the Royal Guard spotlight. He's definitely always been one of my favorite champions. I like him. I like the way he looks. I like that he doesn't like go around and dance with, little swords and like basically I like the fact that he doesn't look like Apothecary. I mean, right? This is what elves look like, and this guy does not look like that, and he hits hard. He's cool, and yeah, good character. So, anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching.